Yeah. I'm Briston Maroney. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I live in Nashville now. I'm currently in Knoxville in my high school bedroom. These are my books. Um, 'Cause I'm super educated. Yeah. Yeah.
You went to college like once, right? So
I did. I lived there. I didn't really go to class very often, but it was somewhere that I would eat and sleep sometimes.
what did you go to school for?
I went to study, I guess it was just called like contemporary music. So we would take like recording classes, but we had to do a lot of theory and a lot of like just typical like music education stuff, which I had never done before. Like I didn't do any of that in high school or anything like that. So when I got to college and realized that was going to be a huge part of it, it was super discouraging because I not only
Definitely.
didn't like it, like I sucked at it. Like I was so horrible at that. So it was, yeah, it didn't last very long.
That's how I kind of feel about me going to film school and like wanting to learn all the different techniques and three-part storytelling and stuff, but I feel like everything I wanted to learn, I just wasn't learning. And then I was given these projects that I just didn't want to do at all. And also,
Yeah, dude.
the reason why I think that like you can't institutionalize creativity is because all of these people are applying from all these different places, and they all get approved to this program, which is fine. But then you're put in these like groups and put these projects on, and you have no idea if you're going to work well together creatively, like at all.
Yeah, and that's not a reflection of, as much as you do get put in situations where you're like, okay, this isn't ideal, but I have to make the best of it in a real world scenario. Like, your ability to work under someone else's constraint is totally not reflective entirely of your ability to do what you want to do. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really dug
Yeah.
what you said earlier. Or connected to what you said earlier about like, missing 8 a.m. classes to like be going to shows the night before. Those are easily the most important moments of your life if you want to be doing something creative, and you
Yeah.
can't be jeopardizing those interactions. If I had made it to every 8 a.m. class at the cost of like not going to a show or not going to a party or not making like a life-threatening decision, then I would have like none of the knowledge that I have, the minimal knowledge I have about the world, or half the friends that I have. Like, you know
For
what I mean? You
sure.
connect with people that you share those experiences with.
So the first question I'm going to ask you is, how has moving around throughout your life affected songwriting? And do you think there's a big difference between environmental influences compared to personal experience?
For me, environments played a really big role, I think, in the aspect of music being a haven within a lot of the places I grew up in situations I grew up in, and for a lot of people, I feel like it's that way. The cities I grew up in were like really pretty weird. Like, I grew up between Knoxville and this tiny town where my mom lives called Fernandina Beach, Florida. Like Amelia Island is the name of it. It's like literally an island.
Oh,
So
wow.
both places that, like, if you kind of look further into it, there's like a lot of really strange things about them. And so music became my way of like coping or understanding these like weird places I was in that I didn't really feel like I was at home in. And so yeah, I mean, that played a huge role for me. And I guess personal experiences came out of my interpretation of those weird places, and like me not feeling like I understood them, like, and getting to explain that in music was really important to me personally.
I think that the more you like move around and the more experiences you have, when you're taking, like how we spoke earlier about growing up in a small place and then me moving to Toronto, when you're taken out of the comfortability and like things that are familiar and you're put into a new space, you're kind of lost because what you've known, the environment does raise you as much as personal experience, and they kind of do go hand in hand in the way that you're going to experience new environments differently than everyone else is. And sometimes when we're put with something new, we don't have anybody to talk about it with or some type of outlet to kind of be like, hey, I'm enjoying this or I'm not enjoying this. So when we have music to like kind of fall back on, I think it's really important to kind of take advantage of that because we don't know what possibilities are there to come from it.
Well said. Yeah, that is like a much better way to say everything I want to do. I don't really need to be here, but I'm saying you've clearly
no, I'm really bad for that too, because most of the time when I just like respond to things, I kind of summarize exactly what the person said and then just like nod afterwards. I'm like, yes. So I'm like, so what you're saying is I'll be your translator.
Yes, that's very helpful for me. I need that. I'm really bad about just starting sentences and being like, someone's like, what do you write songs about? And then I'm like, it's for sure, it's definitely that, because how for a long time,
like, when
we're like, what?
I know, because all you're doing during that space of time is literally collecting your thoughts, and then you're like also going through your head being like, no, I shouldn't say that. Yes, I should say that. No, I shouldn't say that. And then you're just like, yes, definitely, for sure. I know you've had great musical influence from your family. Do you still think you'd have that same passion for music without that influence?
Excellent question. I think so. But it definitely would have been more confusing, I think, to direct the feelings into music. I think I've always had an urge to be creative or to kind of voice those ideas that I had as a kid that like didn't really center with what other kids were like thinking about, and music was just immediately an option to like explore those thoughts and like kind of deal with that feeling. And yeah, I mean, just immediately seeing like my grandpa play music and my dad play music, it was instantly like, well, these are two big figures in my life that I want to replicate. Like they're here and I'm seeing them be this person, and I want to do that too. And I think it all worked out really beautifully, but I don't know if I would have known what to do. I feel like I would have been so much more confused. I say that all the time, that like I'm really freaking lucky to have been exposed to music, because like there's so many people, and especially like young men, who don't get to immediately like put their feelings into an outlet, like, you know what I mean? So
definitely, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm super freaking thankful for that.
Like the emotional vulnerability is something that's almost like shunned, and it's something that you should be ashamed of growing up. So to have that bravery and have especially that male support kind of surrounding that is like really important. I think that's probably a big like fundamental like foundational thing for you.
Absolutely, yeah. Just knowing that like that there was an option to not wear a certain hat as like a kid, you know what I mean? To have to be like a boy in a certain way, like music lets you be something.
No, I think this is just a little funny thing that I did when I was growing up, because I wanted to be like my mom and my grandmother. And so I wear glasses, but I'm wearing contacts right now. And my grandmother had glasses, and so did my mom. And so I was like, I have to have glasses. And, like, here's the TV, and here's my face, man. Like, I literally
sabotaged.
I on purpose made myself blind. And my grandmother passed away a few years ago, but she's like, she was still wearing glasses, but then my mom got laser eye surgery. So my grandmother passed away, and my mom got laser eye surgery. And now
you're just blind. You just can't see anything. Oh,
I
that's
was,
terrible.
I'm like, you guys are
Man,
fucking traitors, I guess.
I'm glad that you didn't see them like with like broken arms or something when you were a kid and be like, I guess I have to like like
Break my
jump off of
arm.
the couch or something like be like these people.
I
Dang.
just
Well,
have to
now you
break my
have
arm.
it probably brought you a newfound appreciation for um,
Family, I
life.
guess.
That
Yeah,
it was a great lesson on the importance of family.
there you go. You share a lot of personal experience in your music. Would you consider yourself to be a naturally open person?
Sadly, yes, big time.
I honestly like already figured. Now that we've been
Yeah.
talking, I was like, yes. The answer is
Yeah,
yes.
that one's like very evident. You were like, so where are you from? And I was like, things aren't great with my family. No.
I love it.
It's something I've had to think about and work on a lot in my life to balance what being open means. Because I've definitely reeled it in over the years, but ever since I was a kid, I was always very, very open and like I've always been down to have like pretty deep conversations with people and like even when I was really young, my parents said that I would always kind of just like attract these people that were like very strange and very open. Like I feel
We
like I
can
have a
trust
lot
that
of
kid. We can trust that kid right there.
that's true. They would just like leave me alone in the mall for a second and come back, and I would just be like talking to some like
Kid.
109-year-old woman who was like feeding the pigeons, talking
Stop.
to space travel. I would just be like,
She wants to listen, so
interesting
I'm gonna
theory.
tell her.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's so funny because that's actually something that I've kind of realized lately because we're in quarantine, so we're just like stuck with our thoughts. But I'm realizing that like I'm a very open person, and I think I need to kind of know when to not be an open person because I trust the world. And my mom always said when I was growing up, she's like, if you give the world a big hug, you would. And so like I've kind of took that approach to life, and like, what? Unfortunately, you can't kind of trust everybody to like keep what you're doing for you instead of like taking your ideas and stuff. And I think that it's really easy because I'm so open with people for them to know my weak spots and stuff. And so unfortunately, I've opened up and trusted the wrong people in the past, and then they take advantage of that kind of thing because they know what makes you tick,
Yeah, trust is like, sadly, everything you just described, like you have to learn from experience. No one knows that until it happens. I mean, it's the same with any relationship, with romantic relationships or friendships or family. Like we're inherently as people, we're inclined to like trust until we're not. You know what I mean? It's just like, so yeah, I feel like I totally understand. And I'm entering a phase now where it's like I'm hitting a certain age where I am now being able to level it out. Like I feel like for so long, high school particularly, I was really like, I'm gonna give all myself to these people, like, and if they don't appreciate that, then like that's their loss, and they're walking all over me. Like that's just who I am, like all this stuff. And I thought it was like so noble, you know what I mean? Like I was such a martyr. And then like I got older, and I was like, dude, that's not healthy. Like I have to be able to like, you can't live your life assuming that everyone's gonna stab you in the back, but you also have to find contentedness in yourself and your passion for things before you share it with someone else. And then it's so much easier to find someone in a friendship or a romantic relationship that's worth your time.
No.
When I went through a big breakup, and I got this big bird tattoo like pretty soon afterwards, and I texted my mom to tell her, and she was like, send me a picture of it. And I found a picture on Google of somebody else who had gotten a tattoo of like my ex-girlfriend's name on their leg.
God.
I said to my mom.
No, why would you do that?
She called me like 20 times and
She's
was
like,
like
what
literally
is
texting me.
wrong with you?
She's like, I'm coming up. She lived in Florida when I was in Tennessee, and she's like, I'm driving up. Like, I need to see you.
Oh my God. I actually called my mom crying yesterday, and she lives 45 minutes away from me, and she like drove to me immediately. But Florida to Tennessee, baby, no way.
Nah, dude, she'll make that drive. It's like a
That's so
10-hour drive.
nice.
She'll crush it in like 4. She just like pounds Red Bull and like.
That's like Nova Scotia to Ontario. It's supposed to be 18-hour drive, and my like dad got here one time in like 12.
That's like
so
time
bad.
travel.
I
That's
know.
literally breaking science.
It's not weird, but I think it's just boundaries, man. What are those? What are those? What are those, man? I have no fucking clue.
Boundaries, what are they? Will we ever know? Probably not.
Yeah, probably
I don't
not.
think I will ever be good.
Those. I know.
Yeah. No, like.
I don't know
tough,
about
dude.
you, but for me, like, I have none. So people can do whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I guess I can get with it. You know what I mean? Like, the woman feeding
pigeons yes.
on the bench.
I'm so bad about like acting like I have boundaries and then completely not. Like, I'm so bad about patting myself on the back when I meet someone, or like when I have an interaction with someone where I'm like, man, I felt like I shared enough with this person, but I also like took my own feelings into consideration. And you know, we'll have this first conversation where I'm like, I didn't overshare at all, and then the second time I talk to them again, I'm like, yeah, I've struggled with depression for a really long time. Like, I'm just like so like diving.
I'm like digging through my purse, and I'm like, here's my prescription bottle.
I'm like, here's this childhood picture of me. I'm smiling, but I was not happy. Like,
I was like, this is the year my parents got a divorce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but,
oh my God.
But I didn't do it the first time we met, so it's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're like, I let you open up to me. I don't know what it is.
I'm like, this is going really well.
The next question is, when you're writing music, do you start with the melody or do you start with the lyrics?
Usually for me, together, it's usually like a phrase or like a cool line that'll come to my brain, and then it all comes together. I'm not great about, I'm very like not structured when I do it at all. I have zero discipline really in writing songs. It's usually pretty sporadic, like it'll just happen real fast and will be everything I wanted to say for 5 months or something that'll come out and just like very involuntary kind of thing, which sounds super pretentious.
No, it doesn't sound pretentious
awesome.
At all.
Did I mention that these are all books? Like, these are, and I've read all of the ones in this pile.
Wow.
Those are all the Lemony Snicket books.
Wow, sick. I don't know if you guys have Kohl's, but that was the one we had here.
Oh yeah.
And then I would sit in the romance area where the Nicholas Sparks one was, and everyone else was looking around like at them. They would like leave Kohl's. I'm like, I'm just gonna be here, and I'd read like the first like chapter of a Nicholas Sparks book, and they'd be like, "Can you get it?" I'm like, it's only like $12, please.
Oh no, yeah, they overcharge for young romantics. That's, you know.
I'm like, I'm just trying to read about love. Like, sorry.
Exactly. Like, this is the closest I'm getting to like joy. Oh my god, I still have so many. I'm a big DVD guy.
Really? I don't. Yeah, I just had to convert to streaming. But the first DVDs that me and my sister, like, we both shared the DVDs when we were growing up. The DVDs I only had was Marley and Me. Classic.
Nice. Oh, what?
Marley and Me, classic.
No wonder we struggle with boundaries.
I know.
Spilling our hearts out.
Exactly. Marley and Me, Mamma Mia, of course.
Okay.
Raised on that. Hairspray.
Nice. Oh my god.
Hairspray,
Yeah.
so good. And Shrek 2.
Shit.
Those were the only DVDs that I had.
That list should have ended with like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or like another just like classic. No, man. Shrek 2.
Shrek 2. Don't even question it. So, my personal favorite songs of yours currently, I always like Rose because I like the story behind it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I like The Garden for the production of it, kind of how it like will build up and then kind of fall off.
Yeah.
But do you have any of your own favorite songs?
I think they're all a mistake, and I think being I'm just kidding. They're all so like special to me, and I think they're all hopefully reflective of where I was at whenever they happened. So like it really just depends on the day. I mean, I like playing live is my favorite thing to do in the entire world. So it's really different night to night when we get to play, like which ones are the most meaningful to me. Like there's some nights where it's getting to play some of the quieter stuff, like getting to play a song like Rose, or I have a song called St. Augustine that's really quiet and broken down, and sometimes those moments are like really special for me, and I feel like I, in a quieter room. But then there are also shows we've played where kids were like there clearly to just like go insane and like punch each other in the face and mosh and stuff. So like
people mosh to your music?
Dude, we were like floored by the last tour. Like, I mean, there's like pretty high energy shows and stuff. Like, it's a lot more energetic than the records, I guess. But like, kids were like, there was no stage diving, I guess. But there was like nights, like we played in Santa Cruz in California, and like it literally looked like the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video. Like it was.
I would love that. I would love to see
insane.
it.
What's up, guys? You having any remote amount of fun? Holy shit! Alright, dude. This is a punk-ass punk song, so get ready to go crazy, dude.
All these like long-haired like surfer boys just like bouncing off of each other. It was
all like looking like you with the green hair when you had long hair. They all look like you. I can see it.
It was a sea of brunette. Like,
was their jeans cuffed? Was their jeans cuffed?
Oh, yeah, the tiny hats, the cuffed jeans.
How high were the socks? How high were the socks?
You know how high. And I had on like a NASCAR t-shirt. Like we filled every stereotype. Yeah, it was disgusting.
No, I love talking about this because kind of knowing about your background and me talking about mine, it's like the play on the stereotypes. There's certain venues.
Insane.
There's certain venues in Toronto that are just like screaming with the cuffed jeans and the rolled beanies, and I'm just like, yo, I only thought you existed on the internet. Here you are.
Nah, dude. Especially living in, I'm sure you've experienced it in Toronto, but like Nashville has some we check a lot of stereotypes off the list.
Really?
Like, we got the Cowboys, we got the Indie Boys, we got the like, there's like a lot of like, I don't know. I've tried very hard to dress in ways or like present ourselves in ways that like genuinely feel like me, and like same with like all my bandmates and stuff. But I'm sure people one of the funniest things someone has said to us at a show, we were playing in Seattle, and we like played a couple songs, and I was like, what's up guys, like thank you so much for having us. Seattle's been great. Like we walked around, the food was great. Like we went to this vegan restaurant, I got like this veggie burger, and somebody in the crowd was like, of course you fucking did, look at you.
Stop!
It was amazing. I ended up talking to them after the show, and they were like super sweet.
I love that so much. I would be that person. I'd be like, of course you fucking did, look at you.
I know. Well, they said it, and then I was like, looked down at my body, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like
you're actually so right. You're like, why did I say I went to the vegan place?
I like take my small feeding off.
God.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can mark my emotional angst. Like a lot of ways you could.
Did you go through an emo phase?
I was never like a scene kid. I liked some of that stuff, and I kind of did the more like, I never went through like a Pierce the Veil kind of thing, but I was like,
you know who Pierce the Veil is though.
Oh yeah, well they were all over the Guitar World magazines, and I like loved those. I was into like kind of like the shredder kind of stuff for a little bit, but high school I was more into like Midwest emo stuff, so like a lot of like spoken word kind of bands.
Ooh, Midwest emo, yo.
Yeah, a lot of like the like guitar tapping and stuff, and like really weird time signatures, and like just white dudes screaming.
Do you know who Never Shout Never is?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is that considered Midwest emo?
I would say that's in the family. That was like a little poppier, I guess, than some of the other stuff. Like I liked these like weird garagey, like, I guess they're not that weird, but it was like bands like Tiger's Jaw and Tiny Moving
I know
Parts
who Tiger's Jaw is.
Yeah, okay. So we're
I know who. You're like, I don't know if you ever heard they're called Tiger's Jaw. Like,
I don't know. I know it's gonna be weird that I'm saying this, but listen to modern baseball. I actually want. I'm screaming right now.
That's so fucking funny. Modern baseball.
Like them?
Of course.
They're like still one of my favorite bands. Well, I'm a huge. Probably my favorite band right now is Slaughter Beach Dog, who I guess is one of the members of Modern Baseball.
Really, I have a Slaughter Beach Dog song on my playlist. I have like a playlist called 2020, which is just like all of the songs that I like this year, and it's already cool.
Let me know if I'm missing part of the answer. I mean, yeah, music has been so important for me during this time. It has been the only reason I've stayed relatively sane. I've spent so much time listening to music. If I'm outside walking, like I literally will just go walk for like hours or go run. Like I've never really been super into exercising, but like during like this quarantine, I've been going on these like really long runs and listening to albums like start to finish, which is something I've just never done. But it's like so much perspective right now of just everything being shut down, and the importance of an album letting you escape for 45 minutes is like, you know, it just I totally stopped appreciating music the way that I did when I fell in love with it originally. So yeah, I mean, it's like huge. I've listened to the latest Slaughter Beach Dog record a lot. I think it's like half a year old now or something, but I've listened to that so much. Honestly, Canadian shout out, the new Peach Pit record is so good.
Yes, I know. Like, I've been listening to that so much.
Yeah, it's really,
so
really
good. Peach Pit was supposed to play a venue in Toronto called RBC Echo Beach, and it's like an outdoor venue. It's so nice. And it was supposed to be on May 15th, and I planned to get tickets, and then, you know, and it was like, and their prices are kind of going up. Like it was $70, and before, like, Peach Pit would have been like a $40 concert. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty proud of them.
$70?
Yeah.
Ooh. They are such an important band to me and to so many people. They're so fucking cool.
I love their album cover so much, and like
I was photos unreal.
So good. And I was listening to a lot of Peach Pit like this time last year, but it was their old stuff.
Yeah, all their old stuff is so good.
My favorite,
it's like so just complete.
I know, Being So Normal is a great album, but and I'm sure Already Aphrodite is just like the #1 song, but it is my song, man.
It's such a cool song.
It's my song. Sure. Like I listened to that for so long, and there's certain songs, because like I play guitar myself, but there's other songs that I'm like, I really want to learn the bass just so I can know this song. right?
dude.
Their bass riffs are
Absolutely.
great. They're so
So
good.
killer. Holding
Yeah.
it down. We actually got to work with the producer that did that last record, and like he probably wanted to end my life with the amount of times that I kept saying, like, he'd be like, well, what do you want to do on this part? What do you want to sound like? He'd be like, oh, you know that one part from like the Peach Pit record? And like he would just be like, dude, like if you like they made that record, like stop saying that. Like it's so evident that you want to sound like the Peach Pit record. And I just like it was just perfect. Like it was just through and through. So good.
But you're like, listen, you produced the album, so what I'm saying is just do it again, but with me.
Like, look, we don't have to tell anybody that I'm saying.
They're like, is this guy like original at all? You're like, no, I just want to be another member of Peach Pit. That's the goal. That's the end goal.
I just start
like,
telling people that's like my band.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay. I thought
like
this was about you.
We just talked for 2 hours and like, look, here's your problem. You just gotta be real with yourself.
You know, it's all a work in progress. We're always working forward, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last question, which will probably lead into discussion, is once the COVID-19 pandemic is over, what are your fears, hopes, and predictions for the music industry?
It will probably never, ever be like it was 100%, if you ask me. I think there will always be this taste in our mouths, even if it's really faint. Like, I think at least for the immediate future, like the next 5 years or something. It may have been you saying this, or maybe something else I just read right before this, before we had this conversation, but someone was just saying that like music in the just entertainment industry was like the first industry to get completely canned by this, and like will be the last to come back. You know what I mean? So I think it will be a struggle, like for especially independent music to ever be where it was before this. Maybe I'm speaking too drastically, but
I think it's valid for sure.
I think it's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be tough. But I think that being said, the only reason I feel like I can hold out any hope is that like it's impossible for me to think that people won't need music more than ever after this, and that like when it is safe again to have festivals, when it's safe to have Coachella and Bonnaroo and Austin City Limits and like just these huge gatherings of music, like it's impossible for me to not think that it's going to be like historical. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just think about getting word right now that it was like safe to go see that like Peach Pit show that you were talking about, some like outdoor show with like your friends in a beautiful place with like an amazing band. Like the thought of that will be more impactful than it has been in a really fucking long time. So that's like why I'm holding out hope. But I think we're gonna have to find new ways to survive as musicians and artists and stuff. And I think it's going to be, hopefully it'll shed light on how much we need each other, and people will start taking better care of each other.
I think it's kind of a confusing time too, because we look forward to these festivals and we look forward to shows and large gatherings, because we talked about before, like being at venues and shows and being able to go outside and talk to people in the venue, like that has been such a strong thing for all different types of creative people to have that space. And it's going to be a transition, but it's really weird to put it virtually because of like there's so many barriers I find personally whenever I'm on like social media. Like I see that someone posted a new video, like I might check it out, but for people to go like live, and it's a good thing, it's kind of what we need to do right now. The internet's so vast and so distracting at the same time that things are popping up all the time, right? So I don't know. It's interesting how people are going to navigate through it. And you're right, like the entertainment industry for sure got hit first. And that kind of has been such a scary thing because that's kind of what I want to dedicate my life to now.
Truly a time to figure out what we want as people, because that has been like the biggest thing I've thought about during this entire period of time. Not to get like too heady, but like, it's so evident now that like the way we look at the world is like rooted in a lot of things that may not really matter at the end of the day, like our social statuses or our achievements or our successes or our accolades. Like, man, like,
It really kind of humanizes us all because I
yeah,
think
dude.
that when we're in like, especially like in the creative community and all other communities, we're trying to like push towards the next thing, but it's often so that we can get ahead because, oh, this person like did this project and got that under the way. Like, I want to kind of do better than that. I think what we need to do instead of like hoping to do better than other people is kind of just challenge ourselves and
Yeah,
realize like once I'm done with this project, I think it's really important to reflect on your accomplishments and what you've been able to achieve, and then go ahead and move on to different things and kind of just be creative in the way that we're going to navigate this, because the things that we've relied on for so long just aren't really going to be a possibility anymore.
yeah, totally. Yeah, our worth is is measured in different ways when the world is shut down. So like, we've got to find reasons that we think we're valuable. You know what I mean? That aren't external and aren't based on like a list of things we've done or we're going to do.
Just chilling.
Nah, dude. Everyone is like doing weird shit in their bedroom right now. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like at home just like being weird. Like you can't really have an ego during this time. Like, and if you do, then like you're gonna have a hard time for a while. Like there's just no like hierarchy, uh, which is like really cool. It comes down to like how you feel when you're alone right now, and that's like fucking scary, but it's super important. And like
Mm-hmm.
and to feel like, because you can't really lie to anyone right now. Like you can't go out and present yourself in this certain way because like the amount of time you have to spend alone, like only things that are genuine will survive in that.
You kind of see a perspective of like abolishing like social norms and like class systems without using those like big words, because it's not that it's not that
Yeah,
deep, but I
sure,
like
sure.
kind of just opening yourself up to new possibilities, and I think that might be something to look forward to as we move further and move
Mm.
on, that people will be more receptive and open to each other. I feel like it's been a good conversation for sure. I'm glad that we had the chance to
Yeah,
talk.
dude. Thank you for having me. I don't think I've even said that yet, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for just chatting with me.